Hello there. It's Take Two with Jerry and Debbie getting underway on a Monday. Last week seemed to go by very, very quickly for me, and the weekend as well, but it's just great to be back with you here. And we've got 5 live days of shows coming up for you that we think you are going to enjoy. But in the meantime, we hope that you had at least a bit of restfulness and refreshment over the weekend. How about you, Mrs. Giorgiani? Is that the case for you?
No.
No?
No, we were moving really fast this weekend. We just had a lot to do, too much. We ran out of time. But it's all good. It's all good. But Jerry, I have something I really have to talk to you about. It's very serious.
Okay.
I'm feeling unappreciated.
Are you?
Oh, just kidding. That's the topic of our show today. Do you feel unappreciated? That's the topic today. This came to us from one of our listeners, wanted us to address this, and we are. Have you ever had that feeling at work or at home or in your community or at school that you're just doing? You are being the Martha. You are serving everybody, taking care of everybody. And you know what? At the end of the day, you just feel like, oh, I just feel so unappreciated. Have you ever said that to yourself in your own mind, and you're thinking, don't they see all that I'm doing? Why can't they be grateful? We want to hear from you. 1-833-288-3986.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Martha because we've had the scripture reading recently at Mass of Martha and Mary. And that is a perfect example of, I think, Martha was complaining to Jesus because she was busy about getting all the preparations and things done. And Martha was not helping her with that. So I was going to point that out as one example. And then, Debbie, another one that came to me, it might be a bit of a stretch, maybe not. But when James and John request of Jesus to sit at his right and in his left in the kingdom, and Jesus very gently, while he's rolling his eyes, probably gently explaining to them that is not his to give, but it belongs to the Father, and for whom it has been prepared. And then the other apostles, the other disciples come along and they go, oh, well, hey, the other 10 were feeling a little bit disappointed right then, or, not unappreciated is what I should say. So we do have biblical examples of that. And, that's probably a good thing because they're humans, we're humans. So it's good to see that even great saints from the Bible have made some of the same mistakes that we did or have had some of the same emotions.
Same emotions, same feelings. Excuse me. But I'll tell you what, Jerry, it's a common thing, I think, in marriages sometimes and in being a parent. We can really fall into that feeling very easily of experiencing the sense that people aren't grateful for what you do or don't notice what you do and stuff like that. And so if that's ever happened to you, maybe you're just a mom that is constantly in the car, going from soccer field to soccer field and, taking your kids all sorts of places, getting their school supplies, doing everything. And you're thinking, do these kids in the backseat even notice that I'm doing this? Do they even realize that I'm not a chauffeur? I'm their mom, but I'm doing all this. I wear all these different hats.
Like this, Debbie.
Jerry, I know. Jerry's giving the image of looking at their computers. I mean, their
little gadget.
Phone. their little cell phone.
Oh,
screen.
Mom, are you still in the car? Oh, that's right. You're the only one old enough to drive. Sorry.
Right. But it's true, Jerry, and it's an easy thing to feel on a regular basis. So let's talk about it and let's see how we can. I'm going to pull a Jerry Usher here. Let's see how we can reframe things so that we walk away with a new understanding, a new perspective about ourselves and all the people in the world around us. So weigh in on this. I know it's Monday, folks, and you've got a lot of things on your to-do list, but we need your help because you are the teachers here. Ryan Penny is ready to answer your call, and there's open phone lines. You can get right in, share your take on this, your experience, but here's the number, 833-288-3986.
Yeah, and this doesn't have to be willful or intentional neglect of you or somebody else. Sometimes it's just simply you've got a boss at work and that boss oversees 5 people and 2 or 3 of those people get really treated well and you and somebody else don't, or the other 4 do and you don't. It may not be intentional. I'm thinking, Debbie, too, of a spouse who comes home from work. I'm going to use the 50-year-old or generation or two old example. the husband comes home from work and, the food has been cooked, laundry's been done, the kids have been schooled or taken to school, they've been given their naps, mom has just, poured her soul out, for all the members of the family, and the husband just may say something like, oh man, having that again for dinner or something like that, when he's maybe had a little bit of a bad day. It's not that he didn't consciously think, okay, on the way home, I'm driving home, I'm going to really show my wife how little I appreciate her. It just doesn't happen that way, but it happens just because of human nature. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that's a good example. And the other thing too, Jerry, I'm very big on saying please and thank you very quickly. I have to say one thing. I was a stickler with that with my children and even their friends. And both my boys, I have to say, have great social manners like that. They quickly, and I'm a big believer in that, because sometimes have you ever been, something was done for you, like at a restaurant from a server or something like that, Jerry, and you can tell that they're waiting for a thank you, but then there's nothing there. And then a couple minutes later, somebody will kind of mumble out, oh, thank you. Well, that's not, really take that time. I think it's important. What do you think?
I would love to hear from someone in the service industry, maybe a waiter or a waitress. What about the people who clean hotel rooms? Debbie and I travel a lot. And
yes.
I'll just be upfront about this. I put the do not disturb sign on right away. And if I'm there a week, that do not disturb sign stays up. Why? Because I mess my bed up completely because it's the way I like it. And they come in and ruin it by making it again. They ruin my mess by making my bed again. And plus, I don't need service every day. If I need new towels, I just go out in the hallway and exchange them with the people. But then, sometimes I've left a tip in the envelope, and other times I have not, depending on just how much they did for me and so forth. But that's a group of people, Debbie, who may feel unappreciated quite often.
I agree.
And you and I talk, how I feel about those who clean like the bathrooms in the airports and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. They just have people bumping into them and rushing around them. Got to get to my airplane, and no sign of appreciation at all. I like to go and give them $5 every now and then, or at least just say, hey, thank you so much for what you're doing. So
I do the same thing.
Yeah, Debbie, this touches on every aspect of our lives. Everyone has something to say about this, I think.
It sure does. And this is why it's an important discussion. So we really need your help. Phone lines are starting to fill up. That's a good sign. That means you do have something to say about this, and we want to hear from you. So if you ever felt unappreciated, or you think others are feeling that way, let's talk about it. 833-288-3986. And when we come back, we're going to Holly and the others, and we can't wait to hear your takes on this topic.
The wisdom of Mother Angelica.
I said to the sisters one day, what do you think you're going to look like in heaven? Oh, some of them had absolutely magnificent ideas. I didn't think of one of them. So I got desperate, because then my turn came. I didn't know what to say. And so in desperation, I said, what do you think I'll wear in heaven? And they all said with one voice, armor.
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
If you're currently an EWTN media missionary or just interested in becoming one, we've got some great news. EWTN Media Missionaries has a new and improved website, EWTNmissionaries.com, designed with you in mind. Our new site is loaded with great features, and it's easy to navigate. There are so many different ways that you can help EWTN. Join us in sharing the eternal word with the world. Visit EWTNmissionaries.com today.
Take two, takes three, actually, to be a radio program. Debbie and I could talk about our topics for a whole 55 minutes and maybe say something intelligent, but You are the ones who teach us. You inspire one another. We all come away a little bit better after each conversation here on the program. So we're talking today about feeling unappreciated or underappreciated. And we have a lot of callers on already. Holly will be first in just a minute, as Debbie said. But I want to point your attention to another EWTN radio program that comes on a little bit before ours does in the morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. It's Catholic Connection with Teresa Tomeo. Teresa, Debbie, is so well connected. She gets high-profile interviews. She's got some regular guests that come on at least once a week, and she has got her finger on the pulse of culture and media and so much more through a Catholic lens. So, folks, listen to Catholic Connection with Teresa Tomeo, 9 a.m. Eastern Time on most of these EWTN stations.
Can I just say something real quick before we get to Holly? Holly, hold on, from Toledo, Ohio, listening on Annunciation Radio. Hold on a second, Holly. I just want to say something real quickly. You talked about a busy weekend this past weekend. At Mass on Sunday, our pastor gave a phenomenal homily on same-sex attraction. It was so beautifully delivered. And he actually, there was actually some clapping. Some people were very uncomfortable, and a couple people walked out, with a little bit of grumbling. But for the most part, people were very receptive to it. And I just wanted to say to the pastors that are willing to take on these more, just difficult subjects. I think it's all in the delivery, and our pastor did such a great job, and it was so loving. And I just wanted to say, I just want to encourage other priests and deacons to, tackle those tough subjects. What do you think, Jer?
Yeah, I think it should be done more than it is, and other topics as well. Birth control and abortion has to be handled very, very pastorally and sensitively. But the truth is the truth, and the church has to be preaching that. So God bless your pastor, Debbie, and there are so many other priests who do likewise as well. So it's always a blessing when you get to attend one of the masses and get pleasantly surprised by that.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, there is an open phone line. It has your name on it, so you feel that little tug in your spirit. If you've ever felt unappreciated, or like Jerry said, underappreciated, if you ever felt that, or you know that somebody else complained about that, we want to hear from you at 1-833-288-EWTN. That's the number. That's the number to call. You can remember it easily with the EWTN, but it's 833-288-3986. And as promised, she gets our virtual First Up Award. Holly in Toledo, Ohio, listening on Annunciation Radio. Hi, Holly. Thanks for being first up here.
Thank you. Hi. In February, my sister-in-law, her 3 children were removed from her custody and placed in our custody. And before that time, we did not have a lot of interaction with her. We tried to help her. She seemed to be struggling a lot. But she didn't know us, so she didn't trust us, because they had been falling out. My husband and his sister had fallen out since, teenagers. So they haven't spoken. We're near 30 now. But so we got those 3 extra kids, and so she was forced to be in our life. And we also have our own 2 children. And so it was like 5 kids under the age of 6. And it was very difficult. It still is difficult. It's still an everyday thing. But it's like through all the work, even though my sister-in-law was not involved a lot at the beginning, and my husband was very overwhelmed because he didn't come from a background of a big family or a religious support, anything like that. It's been a lot of the weight has been on me. But getting over that and trying to just see the work in front of me and get through the work has really made a huge difference in everybody's lives. In my own, I've grown as a person, my husband's grown, my sister-in-law has grown, and we have a relationship now. The 3 kids just got baptized yesterday, and it's been really beautiful, but still a lot of that underappreciation, I think, because they don't feel the full weight of everything that I just swoop in and do, Right. The kids call everybody Aunt Holly because Aunt Holly responds, So, it's been a lot of work, and it's been a grind, because it's been trying to push the adults also to do their part, and not just teaching kids, but teaching grown-ups. And that's frustrating,
Sure.
Especially when there's 5 kids. I already have 5 kids, and now I feel like I have 2 more, because a lot of times my husband will get home from work and I give him the time to take a shower and eat something and get comfortable. And then if it seems calm with the kids, he'll go downstairs to play video games, and it drives me crazy because I've just been working all day, and I don't get my time. I don't take my time until all the kids are in bed / asleep, because just because they're in bed doesn't mean that they don't still need you.
Sure.
Because, there's so many little ones and all of that. But
there's so many components to this, Holly. If you didn't mind me jumping in there, first of all, thank you, and thank your husband and your own kids. Thank you, your entire family, for what you've done in taking in his sister's kids into your home, especially since they did not have a relationship, your husband and his sister, for many, many years. Thank God. Thanks be to God that has helped to soften that, and that now relationships are starting to resurface, and that's all a beautiful thing. And Debbie, I know you're probably just chomping at the bit to join me and echo what I say. Holly, you've got to have a talk with your husband about the video games coming in. I mean, those things are bad enough. I mean, I don't know what kind of video games he plays, if they're the really raunchy, evil ones.
It's not super bad, but it's just, I know that it's not, like, your time is not your own while the kids are awake. It shouldn't be, you know what I mean? Because then it turns into something where you're, like, you get agitated for the interruption, but the reason for your agitation is that you're choosing something over them. And kids don't understand that, Kids need attention and interaction and whatever else. They need you. And, yes, there's times that they can be on their own, yes, but that part's frustrating. But it's, my husband is like, he tells me he's going to change this or he's going to change that, and then it's like he says it but doesn't do it, or then he does it for a little bit and then he backs off. He said he would help with coming up with meal plans or going to the grocery store. He says that he'll help a lot, but it's hard for him to have that follow through, because, he'll say it and then I'll expect the help, and then he doesn't help, and then he gets mad at me for being overwhelmed. And I'm like, you went to the grocery store one time and you said you would start doing that because I have 5 kids and you are alone on the way home. But
right.
I don't know.
But
I know that it's getting better.
Yeah. It sounds like a little cycle, kind of a vicious cycle, though, because and here's the thing, Holly. I just have to say this. Jerry and I are not trained therapists or counselors, but we've lived a long life and seen a lot and been there and done that. So, I just want to say a couple things. It sounds like your husband, that's the way he decompresses. He zones out.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Okay, and understandably so. But what you said is, there's just so many waking moments, minutes in the day, and so you have to use them effectively and wisely. And so I'm just going to say this. You made a comment, Holly, and I just want to share this with you as a sister in Christ. It is true that that when we're awake, the kids get priority. I get that. But you also have to be able to, and then this was told to me by my pastor many years ago, and he just drilled it into my head. He actually was a social worker before he was a Catholic priest. And he said, Debbie, you have to be able to fill your own spiritual, physical, everything. He used to hold his hands out, and he said it's like a figurative cup. Okay, you have to fill yourself, and the stuff that runs over, you can give freely to others without feeling like you're underappreciated and something like that. But if you're not filling your cup, you're giving from your reserves. And eventually you will get overwhelmed. Things will happen. Things will break down. So I'm begging you, Holly, take the first moments of the day and feed your soul with prayer. Take time for yourself. And if it seems selfish, so be it, because the kids are going to be better. Your marriage is going to be better. And I suggest your husband sets a time limit. If he needs to decompress, give him 30 minutes and say, once that 30 minutes is up, re-engage, because you do have to. Yeah. I just believe that, Holly, if you can do that for yourself, because you are doing everything. And as you were saying, everybody's going to Aunt Holly. You know what I was thinking the whole time you were saying that? I'm going, who does Aunt Holly go to? So you need that, Holly.
Yeah. I'm trying, but it's so hard to get up earlier than you do.
I know, even if it's 30 minutes.
But I'm trying, because I was doing that regularly for a while, and it makes such a huge difference. But just every morning I'm so drained, but I know that it doesn't make that won't make a difference. Like, I'll be drained if I get up a half hour earlier or a half hour later. I'm still going to feel the same way when I wake up.
Right.
But I know that it makes a difference, and I really need to stick to that. Actually, I wrote something.
Go ahead.
Sorry, real quick. It says, I wrote it to myself. I said, when I don't get up to pray in the morning, it's like I'm intentionally missing class where God is my professor. You know, where, you know, he fills you in and he teaches you and he gives you what you need for the day. And I know I've been.
Okay, so Holly,
so thanks for the reminder.
Well, it's more than a reminder. I'm going to go one step further. I'll take on the challenge with you, okay? Our email is take2@EWTN.com. Okay, for 30 days, I will set my alarm a half hour earlier as well. I'll know that you're getting up a half hour. I'm going to be getting up, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. Let's try it for 30 days and see what happens. Deal?
That sounds great. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
Oh, thank you, Holly, for that beautiful call. Debbie, I didn't appreciate the way you were just looking at me. Like, you're going to do it too, right, Jerry? Actually, I am getting up earlier than I used to. So.
That's right. Yeah, you'll take on that challenge, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing, and I'll be with the two of you on that. So, what a beautiful call from Holly. Thank you so much. Talking today about being unappreciated, underappreciated in your own life, or maybe you live with somebody or work with somebody who kind of runs into that all the time. 833-288-3986. We'll go to Maria in San Antonio, Guadalupe Radio Network listener. Hi, Maria. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi, thank you.
Sure. What would you like to share?
Yeah, well, about being unappreciated, you know something? I'm going through that right now, and long story short, I just remembered this morning. Funny, it just happened this morning, and then I hear you guys on the phone talking about that. I go, let me put in my 2 cents worth. A long time ago, I took this advice from Mother Angelica, one of her wonderful shows. When somebody does give you a hard time and you're just having, let's say, a tough time with a boss or somebody, or you just don't feel that appreciation and you're doing everything you can. She said, picture this person in front of you and say, Jesus, Mary, I love you, save souls. Say it 3 times. Jesus, Mary, I love you, save souls. And sure enough, when I was going through that many, many moons ago, this tough boss was about to say, I'm going to fire you next time if you don't do this. I was just all stressed out. But I started saying that, and I was calm in my demeanor. I asked her questions. I was not afraid of her. And she came around, and, things changed. Luckily, I got another job, so I moved on. But at least for the time that I was there, it wasn't as stressful because I put all this on Jesus and Mary's hands, and they helped. I really felt like they guided me. And now I'm going through a same situation here with another boss, and I said, wait a minute, I did that before. Let me do this in the same situation. So I'm going to apply the same project from the same concept from now on, and hopefully things will get better.
Yeah, we hope it'll work.
I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, well, Maria, thank you, and we hope and pray it will work the second time around. But this is a great lesson that you're teaching all of us, Maria, and that is when we are, I'm going to use the word victim of not being appreciated enough. That might be a strong word. Maybe when we just experience underappreciation or unappreciation, our first thought, at least mine, because I'm so very self-centered, my first thought is going to be, okay, this person needs to change. This person must change because they're not fitting the way I think they should be acting toward me based on my personhood or based on my what I'm doing, what I'm achieving. But you've taught us all, Maria, that when we actually put the task upon ourselves to change first, and what you did is you accepted it all and you took a prayerful posture, not a judgmental posture, and in so doing that, you were changed unquestionably. And Debbie, you see how her first boss, the first one that she talked about, came around and was just a whole lot nicer to her. So when we give God those chances, go ahead.
Yeah, it was funny. It was funny, Jerry, because, I just kind of blew her. I still remember. I just kind of blew her for a loop. She probably thought I was going to start avoiding her, or I was going to start, just backlashing, or maybe having the same reaction as she was toward me. But instead, I was super nice, super calm. I asked her questions, respected her authority. And that just threw her, I think, for a loop. And she was like, oh, okay, well, let me answer your question.
And she's like, now what do I do?
Yeah, exactly. I threw her off her horse. But I'm hoping and praying that the same situation it will work now. And I know, and these bosses sometimes, I mean, God bless. I mean, and I understand they're under a lot of stress themselves from their bosses, but they just forget the personal component of working with their employees. You know, I'm very person-centered, so I'm always thinking of who I'm talking at that moment, and I want to help them. I lose track of time, and I know that's my fault, and that's what they keep getting after me about. But I just want to do the best job I can for them, not following the rules and sticking to my schedule and all that. But I know, pray for me that I may stick to the rules, please, okay?
We will do that, Maria. You are a beautiful soul. And I just have to tell you, by your prayerful response, the way Jerry was just sharing, you are helping others to grow and learn how to treat other
Al Cresta.
The secular press just doesn't get our story. They don't even understand it. And so it's incumbent upon us to get the story straight and get the story out.
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
Post your intentions on the prayer wall on Jerry and Debbie's website. To get there, just click on the bright yellow J&D logo at take2show.com. Jerry and Debbie personally reply to every prayer intention that's posted. Others will also offer you their prayer support. When there's something important you want prayers for, post it on the prayer wall on Jerry and Debbie's site. Visit take2show.com, click on the J&D logo today.
This is an EWTN Bookmark Brief. I just finished speaking with Dr. Edward Sri about his book, No Greater Love, A Biblical Walk Through Christ's Passion, published by our friends at Ascension Press, available through the catalog, EWTNRC.com. Tell us, Dr. Sri, what's this book about?
This is a walk with Jesus from Gethsemane all the way to the cross. These are stories many of us have heard from our childhood. We hear it every year in the Holy Week liturgy, but do we really enter into what's happening? Do we understand the background? Because every little word is just charged with great meaning. So I want to do is unpack the Old Testament background, the prophecies, but also a lot of just what was going on the inside, what was happening in Jesus' soul, and I realized how much he was doing for me so I can be reconciled with him.
Okay, very good. Edward Sri, doctor, author of No Greater Love, a biblical walk through Christ's Passion, available through our EWTN Religious Catalog. Look for the entire interview coming soon on our network. This has been a Bookmark Brief. We thank you for stopping by.
Hi, this is Janet Williams. There's nothing like Women of Grace to explain the truth of our faith, Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern, here on EWTN Radio. Now, back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Good to have you with us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on a Monday. Rich Jesse, our producer, is running the control board. Jeff Burson has social media handled. And Ryan Penny is screening your calls today. Michael McCall and Michael Birchfield do that on occasion as well. And affiliates, thank you for carrying the program. We appreciate that. Talking today about feeling or actually being unappreciated or underappreciated. How do we respond to that? We know that the things we do in life, we should not be doing things for a return, for applause, for a pat on the back, for all of these people saying, I appreciate you so very, very much. But it's part of human nature, Debbie. I think that, after a while, if that doesn't come and it doesn't come and it doesn't come, then I believe it's human nature for resentments to start to build up and anger and so forth in given circumstances. So we just want to talk about this and how we can handle it in a Christian way. And we've gotten some great people who have done that so far. And we will hear from Jane next in Greenville, South Carolina, listening on Catholic Radio in South Carolina. A first-time listener. Welcome, Jane.
Hi there. Can you hear
Hello.
me?
Just fine, Jane. How are you?
I'm fine. A little nervous.
Don't be nervous. You're going to do a great job. Go ahead and share with us your take on this.
Well, I think it's important for people to say thank you, especially kids. And sometimes it bugs me when they don't. But then I remember the scripture where Jesus says to the 10 lepers, only 2 went back, and he says, weren't there more than just two of you? So that gives me consolation, because I think if Jesus couldn't get people to say thank you, who am I? That's all.
Right. Jane, you did great. I think about that scripture passage as well. I mean, here he heals them. You know, you would think they'd be like flocking around him saying, you know, thank you, master. Thank you, teacher. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Nope, they took off. They got the gift and they took off running. And so I think it goes back to what you were saying, that sometimes people just, you know, unintentionally hurt one another because they're just really not thinking. They're not staying in the moment and understanding the bigger picture. And I think Jane really spotlights this. What do you think?
No, I think so. I've done a lot of thinking and praying about that lately as well. I think I mentioned it on Friday's Unscripted show, how I do in my prayer time. I like to sometimes just look up at the cross, and wherever my eyes are drawn, it could be to Jesus' head for the crown of thorns. It could be to one of the wounds in his hands or feet or his side, the mental suffering that he went through. And I agree with you, Jane. We have our model in this, and as we do in all things, in Jesus Christ. And Jesus certainly won the esteem of men and women and people all over the place for a while. And then when he began to teach them what he must go through and what we all must go through, i.e. carry our cross to be his disciples, that's when things get a little bit dicey for some people, and all the way up to the point where they just had to hatch a plot to get rid of him, and they did. And so, yeah, if we don't have appreciation showered all over us, all we've got to do is look at, and we should all have a crucifix very nearby,
Mm-hmm.
you know, on the end of a rosary, in our car, in our home, in our workplace. So, anything else, Jane? You were great on that point. Anything else you want to add?
No, just that it really does help me. I just simply think, okay, Jesus couldn't get him to do this for him. Who am I?
Mm.
And then I can move on from it, really.
Right.
It just helps me a lot to have that image of, imagine these lepers were healed and they couldn't say thank you.
Yeah, they took off. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Yeah. But that does help, and it should help all of us, and that's what so that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing, and I hope you found calling in to Take Two a pleasurable experience, and I hope you will call again. Will you do that, Jane?
I'll try.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, dear. Have a good day.
You.
833-288-3986, talking about really a universal topic. This touches upon everyone's life at some point or another, and maybe more often than others, and that is the whole notion of feeling appreciated, being appreciated by others, underappreciated, maybe not appreciated. And again, it's not what we should be striving for, but it's just a part of our human nature to want a little attaboy or an attagirl or pat on the back once in a while.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you think it is, Debbie? Do you think
Yes. I think when people go, oh, you don't need to give me a thank you. No, you really do. You do, because you need to affirm one another and let people know that they matter. I think it's very important. I don't know. That little gesture makes a big difference. What do you think?
Well, and I think it's totally appropriate and necessary in some instances. Let's say, like we're in ministry, EWTN's in ministry, Catholic Answers is in ministry. Let's say somebody wrote a check for $1,000 to EWTN. If EWTN didn't send a thank you letter to show their appreciation, that would be completely out of line, and I'm sure that wouldn't happen. They wouldn't miss that, EWTN. But that's my point is, if somebody does a real generous thing for you, especially, to not show appreciation for that, I think is selfish on our part, at least blind. There's a blind spot there, if nothing else.
That's very well said, Jerry. I knew that if I kept tossing it back to you, you'd say something brilliant, because you always do. Jerry, may I just say something real quickly? I'm getting a bunch of text messages because I did mention that my pastor gave a great homily last Sunday, and I've highlighted him before. It's Father John Greb, and you can go to sttimothyMesa.org. I think they're going to be posting his homily there. So if everybody who's texting me right now, if you want to go there, it's you can probably pick up the homily, and I hope you do. Or it might be on YouTube even. But Jerry, may I read this email that just came in about being underappreciated? Because this one is oh boy, it's so true. Okay, so Tom wrote in and said, Jerry and Debbie, by far the most underappreciated group of people are the spouses of our military. Their husbands and wives are honored and recognized continually, as they should be. But the spouses have to suffer through the training, the moving, the deployments, and the unknowns, just like our servicemen and just like our servicemen and women. God bless you all. And you know what? I have to say, I know this firsthand because I come from a military family, an extended family, and it is so true. I look at the spouses of the military servicemen and women, and I'll tell you what, I'm like, wow, these people are heroes. This is amazing. They have everything so organized. They can move at a moment's notice. You know, their kids are functioning and doing well and thriving in different communities. But they do have a lot of military support on the bases. I've noticed that. The families all grouped together. But Tom, thank you for reminding us of that, and so true it is.
Well, it kind of reminds me of maybe a professional athlete, you know, a man or woman who's a professional athlete. Let's just take a men's NBA player, for example. They may be on the road half the year and playing games, and baseball players play even more games on the road. And, it's the same thing. The wives are usually at home with the kids, doing everything at home. And I know that the athletes and the soldiers, they all lavish their spouses and their families with Thanksgiving and appreciation. But maybe not as much as they get, Debbie, because they're the ones with the spotlight on them. And they're the ones who are out there doing whatever particular task they had signed up for.
That's right. So true. Okay, let's hear what Julie has to say. And Julie is in Richfield, Utah on YouTube. We're waving to you, Julie, and you're a first-time caller. Hi, welcome to Take Two.
Hi.
Hi,
How
Julie.
are you?
Doing well.
I have a friend. She's a new friend, and it's kind of hard for me to have friends because of, it's hard for me to know how to talk with them as it is. But she has a way of, I try and say something to her, and she'll talk over me. And I had tried, we were going to try and, I was going to try and go see my kids, but it cost too much money, so we started talking about that, so she started putting all this other stuff in that didn't really matter, and it's like every time I try and say something to her, she would say something back. So I kind of basically just decided not to say anything at all and just leave because I didn't want to get in an argument with her. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's more, I'd rather deal with the hurt of how she's doing to me and leave than have us get into an argument over it or a discussion or whatever you want to call it, a heated discussion or whatever you call it. So it's like, so I just kind of dropped it and said, well, I'm going to go see if my phone starts, So that way I can just get out of there and kind of... I'm
going to jump in here, Julie. Your connection is not that great right now, but I did get the main point I believe that we were talking about, and that is you don't feel appreciated by this one particular friend because it seems like when you are having a conversation, which is supposed to be two people talking to each other at different times, rotating, who's talking now, and you feel like this other friend of yours just doesn't listen to you and what you want to say, but is just always ready, I should say, to be going on with her next statement or comment or what have you. And that is, I would say that is unappreciative, but I also would put that into the category of rude if that is what is happening. And I can say that because Debbie and Julie, I've had a friend before. I had a friend up in the Seattle area many years ago, and she was just like that. Whenever I was talking or anybody else was talking, she would just go, yeah, huh. And then as soon as you stopped, it's like the words in her mouth were like, I hate to say this, were like horses in the starting gate, at the Kentucky Derby, just ready to be let out, and I used to think, did she hear anything I just said? And I didn't get upset or anything, but I don't know, Julie, is this kind of what you're talking about?
Exactly, yeah. It's like she just wants to talk me and just tell me what she thinks, and then whatever I think don't matter.
Yeah, it's unimportant. Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. So I'm basically like, okay, well, I just won't let it. I just won't. I'm the one that lets it drop because I know, I don't want to be in an argument. So It's like, well, I'll let it go. I just go do something else and get away from it. So it's hard for me to have friends because I want to have a friend, but at the same time, I don't want to be treated like I'm not worth it.
Right. And I didn't quite catch it because I was cutting out just a little bit, Julie, but have you been able to talk to her about this and like really sit down and say, hey, I really like so many aspects of you as a friend, but this one thing, maybe we could learn to, I don't know, share time a little talking. Have you just had a heart to heart with her because it sounds like you like other aspects of her.
No, I can't do that really. Basically, I try and talk to her a little bit. And she's spirit. She said she's spiritual, but she's not Christian or anything. She's not religious.
Okay.
Spiritual, and so I kind of don't want to touch on that with her right now because I know that it might bother her or something. I don't know. So I'm kind of like, well, I'll just kind of leave that out at the moment, and we'll try and do something else,
Right. Well, can I just say one other thing, Julie? Yeah, Julie, pray about this though, and ask your guardian angel too to help you with this, to bring people in your path that is better, friendship suited for you, that can really move you along on the spiritual journey. Because I just think we don't enlist and ask for help from the angels and the saints enough. We just don't, and they are there, ready, willing, and able to help us in all situations. So, Julie, I would encourage you to do that. I'm sorry, Jerry, you were going to say something.
I was going to say exactly what you said. Maybe where you go to church or some other social circle that you're a part of, try and look among those people to see if there are other friends, especially, Julie, those that are going to really edify you and build you up in your faith. Not that this girl couldn't be a blessing in your life in many ways, but if she's not a Christian even, then her interests and her things she wants to do and things she wants to say, her mindset, all are going to be perhaps, we don't know, but perhaps a little antithetical to what you're trying to cultivate in your own mind and heart. So God will bring you those people. Debbie made that suggestion. I was thinking the same thing. So what do you think, Julie?
Yeah, I basically think that just going to kind of let her talk, and if she says something that I don't like, I'm just going to go do something different to kind of get away from it until she chills out.
Sure.
I don't know. I'm at the point where I don't know if I want to talk to her because every time I do, it's like, I don't want to,
Yeah, well, you have to keep your boundaries, and to protect yourself too. To sometimes toxic situations and even people can be really, they can really hold you back. They can really set you back. And so you have to, pick and choose who to surround yourself with. But Julie, thank you so much for taking the time, being on YouTube. We're waving to you again, and being a first-time caller. You're just a precious soul, and we appreciate you taking part in this conversation today. God bless you, and have a beautiful rest of your week in the great state of Utah, which I have to tell you, have I said this, Jerry, is the prettiest place to fly into on a plane.
You have said that.
It's so beautiful. I love it.
And it's true. It's true. It's absolutely beautiful.
I think so. Yeah.
All right. Thank you again, Julie. We're going to get to Jonna next here in just a moment. Just a quick reminder that EWTN Publishing is just putting out one great book after another. And one of the latest from EWTN Publishing, Benedict Up Close, the inside story of 8 dramatic years. And it's written by Paul Boddy, and it's an up-close look at Pope Benedict, and he brings you up close to with a unique glimpse into the behind-the-scenes drama of Pope Benedict's pontificate, drawing from many conversations with the Pope Benedict himself, as well as from his extensive interviews with members of the Pope's inner circle. Witness firsthand his many triumphs, public and private, as well as the hostility that he experienced. Benedict Up Close, the inside story of 8 dramatic years, available right now at EWTNRC.com.
Okay, let's go back to the phones and listening on Ave Maria Radio in Detroit, Michigan. Please help me out here. Is it Jana or Jana?
It's Jana.
Jana. Okay, I thought so because I have a girlfriend named Jana, and I thought so, and she spells it the same way. So welcome to Take Two.
I have a little bit different angle on the topic today. Instead of talking about how, someone I know feels underappreciated, this is more of a focus on how to appreciate others. And I'm a pharmacist, and I've worked in mental health in Detroit. So the last 2 years, I've kind of done a little experiment that would be interesting if people, like it and would want to try it. Every time I have an interaction with somebody, especially in the retail community, when they hand me their receipt, I shake their hand. And I say thank you, but I actually shake their hand. So I've been doing this for a couple of years, and I mean baggers at the grocery store, buying gas, going in, getting your whatever your interaction at the cashier, return counters. Waitresses is kind of an obvious thing, but also your medical appointments, or if someone comes to your house for a service call, like cable or a plumber or something. All those interactions that we have with people, if you actually shake their hand at the end of it, it adds a whole different dimension to what the service was. And I have not had yet one person not take my hand and shake it. And most people smile, and most people are surprised because it's actually more of a personal thing. And I know for cashiers take so much criticism because they are the representative of the store. So if there was anything that anyone didn't like in the store, they usually tell the cashier or the bagger. And those two people hear a lot of negative all day long. And just having somebody say thank you and shake their hand when they hand you the receipt, you'll be surprised if you try it, what a positive interaction that is. And for all you know, you are the only person that has smiled and thanked that person in their entire shift that day. So I just want to throw that out there instead of focusing on, how do I feel underappreciated. When you appreciate somebody else and you affirm them, you actually, it makes you smile too, because it's that social interaction that is just part of being human that we don't get every day. And so many people now live in digital isolation where they don't really have even contact, like they might not even touch somebody that day. So for all you know, that one little handshake with that cashier might be the one time that she's connected with somebody that day. So I just wanted to suggest that, because that's been something that's been, it's been really, sometimes my kids are a little bit uneasy with it because it's so different, but they always see that, wow, they really like that. People like that. They like being affirmed, and they like a smile and a have a nice afternoon and thank you. And, and sometimes those interactions aren't the best if you're at the return counter or whatever, but I'm just saying that a simple little thing like that takes 2 seconds.
Jana, I have to say, as you were speaking, you're so right, and you said it. You said it adds a whole an additional level to it of connection, okay, and response, and feelings of other people feeling like they're of great value in your presence, and I think that's huge. First of all, I just have to say real quickly, you said you were a pharmacist. I love my pharmacist. Absolutely love him. Oh. He is the nicest person, and he has helped me so many times. So I just want to say thank you for the work that you do. You may not realize how many people you're helping, but I love my pharmacist. So thank you for that. The other thing too is, I got to ask you this real quickly. When you reach out and shake somebody's hand, do they ever kind of hesitate a little because pull back a little? I'm just curious.
Hesitate.
They
do hesitate, but if they're handing you the hand and you shake, you just put your hand right there and you say thank you so much. I 100%. I have not had one person not shake my hand, and it's all ages, male, female, all different racial backgrounds. It doesn't matter. Actually, you making the gesture first allows them to relax and take your hand.
Oh, I love that,
because you're affirming them by putting your hand out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, every situation.
And you're physically touching them too, which is huge. I have to just and that's a big thing, because they said there's a new study out that people feel like so disconnected from one another physically, because we never, if you think about it, everything's automated, everything's done. We never, shake hands anymore. Even when we're passing money back to each other, we're never touching each other's hands or anything. There's no touch anymore, which is, we thrive by our senses, right, Jana?
Yeah. Yep. I'm sorry, I was going to say, when you're shaking their hand, you can also add to yourself. You can bless them while you're shaking their hand. You can, because you're actually touching them.
Yeah, I like that.
That's something you can do.
Wow, great.
So there's in mental health, there's a little acronym. It's called HALT: hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Those 4 things affect mood tremendously. If you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, the lonely category in this country is epidemic. There's so many people are lonely. And this is one little thing where you can do it in just an interaction. I'm just talking about business transactions, but just that one little connection might be the most personal connection that person has had in that day. Just a simple handshake.
Absolutely, absolutely. Or call them by name. That's the one thing I like to do.
Or call them by name.
Yeah, at the grocery store, wherever we are. Debbie, I know you do this too. You're really good at this. And it's not in any obvious way. You just kind of take a glance at their name tag and then turn away and you're doing something. And then when you go up to them, oh, hi, John, thanks. Hi, Barbara, thanks for your help or whatever. And some of them, a lot of times, they too, Debbie, will kind of look at you like, wow.
Right.
Do I know you?
Yeah. Well, when you commented, and you were very kind. Thank you again, Jana. Thank you so much. You commented, Jerry, about how good I am about names. But when we go out to restaurants, I always ask for the server's name, but then I quickly give them my name. I was a server for many years, and they'd say, and people would be at the table, and they'd say, "What's your name?" And I'd say, Debbie. And they go, okay, I'm going to order this. It's like, so I felt like saying, well, what's your name? And so I always introduce. And so now I'm going to add a level deeper, like Jana says to do. And I'm going to shake hands and say, nice to meet you. Thank you for your service today in advance. I'm going to do that. I love that idea.
Great call, Jana. And we've got a couple more we're going to try to get to, starting with Jerry in Cleveland, listening to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on The Rock. Hi, Jerry. Welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you so much for taking my call. I appreciate it, and I love your show.
Thanks, Jerry. We love you, too.
Well, with this topic today, it hits home. I just wanted to say that after I was married, like immediately after I was married, like right after the wedding reception, he just turned into a different person. And in a bad, and not in a good way. And so after, quite a few years of marriage, I said to him one day, I said, I noticed that, if I ever do anything for you or just do anything nice, you never say thank you. And he looked at me and he said, well, why should I thank you for things that are expected of you? So I just said, oh. Okay. So it was like, now I know where I stand. I know not to expect it. And so basically, and this change in him, he was not not that he was a perfect person when we were dating, but he had a lot of good things going for him. And, I saw a lot of good in him as well. And of course, I wish in some days he was a little more like my dad, but I think a lot of, people feel things like that. And, you can't always compare to your relatives and that. But I never really expected the change in him that there was. And my grandmother was the first one to notice it. My parents noticed it. And, of course, I noticed it right after we said I do, like right after their wedding reception. It just was terrible. And my mother said to me, I can never say to you, I told you so. We could have raised 10 of you. And she said, and he fooled us. She said, we didn't see it coming. Your father and I thought he was a great guy. Grandma loved him. She said, I can never say to you, I told you so. So that's it. And we were married, we would have been married about 26 years, but then we went to divorce because of an adultery situation on his part. And I was suspecting adultery for quite a bit, but he never admitted it.
Right.
And then he finally did. Mm-hmm. And then I did want a divorce after that. And all of a sudden he's acting kind of humble, like, well, I don't want a divorce.
Oh,
and
Jerry, you're going to hear that music. I know you hear that music. We're getting ready to close the show. I'm sorry you had to go through that, but unfortunately, we hear it a lot. That after when the marriage happens, that the impressing part of first date stuff goes out the window. We need to really take notice of that, folks. We don't want to change after. Change not for the better after when the marriage sets in. So please, folks, keep all of these takes in mind. This was a great show, Jerry. I think this was a success.
Yeah, and tomorrow really is going to be somewhat like this, but maybe in the opposite way. If you really, truly love and appreciate somebody so much, someone who's suffering or maybe even dying, would you take their place? That's our conversation tomorrow on Take Two. Until then, have a beautiful and blessed day.